What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex and you're watching a Ragin Ronin review. Got a review for you. I checked out Gemini Man, and Gemini Man is the latest film from director Ang Lee. It's produced by Jerry Bruckheimer, who is, who back in the day, back in the 90s, was the action king, the big action producer, because he produced a lot of great big action movies, like summer blockbusters like Con Air, Bad Boys 1 and 2, The Rock, Armageddon, Enemy of the State, Crimson Tide, Con Air, Gone in 60 Seconds. Like, I love those films. They're just like high energy, testosterone fueled action movies, and I just love them. But he hasn't produced a lot of big movies that I really enjoyed lately. But anyways, I'm glad to see him back reuniting with Will Smith. And I haven't seen a big Will Smith action movie in a really long time. I think the last one was Men in Black 3, but I don't really count that as action. That's my more like sci-fi comedy. I mean, if I had to say, the last time Will Smith was in a big action movie was I Am Legend, and that was quite a while ago. Anyways, great to see him back, in an action role, and I was definitely looking forward to this film, especially since when I watched the trailer for it, it showcased a lot of action. I mean, this film showcased a lot of action from the trailers. And it shows Will Smith fighting Will Smith, which is, pretty gimmicky, but that's the premise of the story. And, I feel like, after watching this film, this is like a Will Smith action film, because there's just so much action in it. And he looks good doing it. I mean, I gotta say that he looks as good as Tom Cruise doing the stunts in Mission Impossible Fallout. I don't know how much of the stunts he really does, but these are some crazy stunts. And I gotta put a lot of praise on the action, because I love the fighting, I love the motorcycle stunts. It's just kind of, they just keep on doing new things, more and more new things, and Will Smith looks good holding an automatic weapon, and he looks so genuine when he does it. So that's really great. I'm not saying that, Will Smith is anywhere on the same level as Tom Cruise or Keanu Reeves from John Wick, but he's definitely proved himself. It proves himself that he can be in that realm, you know what I'm saying? So the action was really great, a lot of fun. There's a lot of action in this movie. But that's the only thing going for this movie. Besides the visual effects, where he was fighting a younger version of himself, which looked really awesome, by the way. Like, those are some really amazing motion capture effects. That's really him fighting himself, and they did a good job with that. It really looked realistic. But besides that, like the visual effects aspect of it, and besides the awesome stunt work, and besides all that action, this movie is pretty bland. It's just so incredibly mediocre in terms of the story. The acting is very bland. I mean, for every character there is in this movie, the acting is very wooden, is very bland. It's just like, wow. Like, they just phoned in their performances. And on top of that, the story is nothing spectacular. It's just so incredibly mediocre. I couldn't help but think that as I was walking out of the theater. The action left a slight impression on me. I thought it was very cool. I loved it when he was fighting himself. It was very well choreographed, and the motorcycle stunts were awesome, and they kept on doing new things with motorcycles. But it was just hard to feel that intense during the action scenes when you couldn't really feel anything for the characters. And that's the part that really kills me the most, because I really wanted to like this film. I like Ang Lee, I like producer Jerry Bruckheimer, I like Will Smith, and I felt that this is a great combination. But there's just some really poor script and screenplay choices in this film. Like, the action is fantastic. It's so awesome. Like, those are some pretty mind-blowing action sequences. But you just can't feel as much as you could have had it been better acting, better characterization, and a much more engaging story. They just don't have any of those things, and it doesn't propel the action to a level which it could have been at. I feel like it's a lost and missed opportunity, because you got all this great action, but there's nothing to really complement it. At the end of the day, action is what complements the story, not the other way around. So when you have a weak story, the action is just there for the sake of being there. There is a lot of action. and it is entertaining, but like you kind of don't care what the outcome is, or at least don't care enough what the outcome is, just because you're not invested enough into the story and the characters. So that's really, really unfortunate. But you know what? I'm still gonna give it a generous score, just because I'll be generous about it. They put a lot into the work of the action and the visual effects, making Will Smith fight Will Smith. He wasn't fighting a stuntman. He was fighting himself. I saw the behind the scenes stuff for it. It actually looks really good. Another thing that looks good is the 3D. The 3D does look really good. They decided to film it in HFR 3D, or rather present it in HFR 3D, where they shot it in a higher frame rate, and they presented it in a higher frame rate if you decide to watch it in the way the director intended for it to be seen. Not 2D, not 3D, not IMAX 2D, but in HFR 3D, and I thought it looked really good. Okay, so the 3D did look good because of the higher frame rate, and it was still visually impressive. The story, not so much. And acting was like blah. Anyways, that's all I got to say in this review. I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10, okay? Most people would disagree with that, but I'll give it 6.5 out of 10. As always, if you enjoyed this review, want to see more, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation. Also follow me on Twitter, Ragin Nation. My name is Alex, and thanks for watching. See you next time. Peace.